Well, it's time for Tech Talk again this afternoon with Matthew Dickerson and Tony Graham here on Binjang 91.5. Good afternoon, Matthew.
Afternoon, Tony. Great to be chatting technology again with you.
Yeah, and look, one of our favourite subjects is coming up, isn't it? The future of the electric car. You reckon it starts this year? I reckon it's already started.
Well, I think you're right. It has already started, but ABI research says that this is where they believe the real action will start. There's been a fair bit of action over the last 10 years, but let's face it, in this country in particular, we're only hitting 0.6% of new car sales, and that's not a great number in terms of the development of the electric car. But ABI Research has done a lot of work and looked at a lot of trends, and they believe, for example, by the year 2030, there'll be 25% of new car sales across the world. We've got a long way to go before we actually hit that point. And in my opinion, I think we'll actually be better than 25% by the year 2030, despite governments not really encouraging electric car sales in this country. I think the momentum will start and really start to take over. So there's a fair bit that's happened, a fair bit of action that's happened in the EV space, and there's obviously people out there buying cars and driving cars. And Tesla's well known, obviously, and they almost hit an Elon Musk milestone last year. Elon said at the beginning of the year they'd hit 500,000 EVs. They fell short by just a few hundred cars for their 500,000 target. So pretty impressive. But then again, when you think about it, Americans bought 3 million pickup trucks last year. So in essence, 500,000 EVs from Tesla sounds great, but still a long way to go in terms of the overall numbers. Even in Australia, we bought 1 million new cars last year, and that's not electric vehicles. Obviously, 0.6% of those were electric vehicles. So we've got a long way to go, a lot of growth to happen in this market. But again, if you look at that research out of ABI, it says that this is when it's really going to start to take off. 2021 is the year that things will take off.
Yeah, I'm sure that's the case. Interesting to note, Matthew, I've been reading up on things a bit here, and Toyota's RAV4 is coming out as a plug-in hybrid, and it can go about 100 k's on just the battery. I can imagine even in country areas that'd be a fantastic start getting into the EV revolution. Just imagine with myself, for example, I could pretty much travel around town on the battery and get to Dubbo back pretty much on battery charge as well.
Yeah, the RAV4 has been an incredibly popular hybrid vehicle in the traditional Toyota hybrid sense of the word. I remember going to Japan.
It's an SUV,
Yeah, I remember going to Japan.
SUVs, yeah.
Yeah, I was in Japan a few years ago, Tony, and they actually had a lot of the models that we see in Australia as hybrids. They already have those in Japan as plug-in hybrids, and essentially they're the same vehicle with a larger battery in there and an ability to plug in. So what we want to see, and I remember talking to some Toyota reps at the time, what we want to see is some of those cars that are already available over there to be brought into Australia. So exactly as you say, having a small amount of range on battery only, and then having the petrol engine there in a hybrid term to get people those longer distances. That sort of happy marriage between those two is a way to get people into the EV space and get them used to that idea of electric vehicles as the range slowly increases for EV only. So I think it's a good mix.
Yeah, and if you can use it mostly as an EV and you're buying an SUV, you're buying it at a very, very good, a quality vehicle at a great price point. And that's the difference, I guess.
Yeah, yep. I think a lot of development we'll see, and again, looking at ABI research, looking at other sales around the world, we'll see a lot more action in this, and hybrid will be part of that. Hybrid will be a way to get some of those people who aren't entirely comfortable with the concept into the idea of electric, especially plug-in hybrid, because the existing hybrids now have been around. I bought my first Prius hybrid back in about 2005, so the concept's been around for a long time, but I think we're absolutely ready for plug-in hybrid from Toyota, and obviously the world's ready for EVs.
Well, I mentioned this because it's more about price point. Getting an SUV, say for about let's say for about 40,000, that's really more of an EV than a petrol-driven motor vehicle. That would really turn the market on its head, I reckon.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there's a lot of companies out there jostling to be the one that really grabs that whole EV market and potentially hybrid market as well.
Yeah. Now, Matthew, in Massachusetts in the United States, they've banned sale of new gas-powered cars by 2035. So here's another step in the direction of EV, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely right. So California's already had this come in, and they basically said everything has to be some sort of renewable energy. It could be hydrogen, it could be electric, it could be something, but it can't be by a fossil fuel. It can't be by diesel. It can't be by petrol by the year 2035. Massachusetts is the second state to go there. My brother lives in Massachusetts, so I'll actually have a chat to him about this. This is only a new law that's come out, but it's certainly something that's a good step in the right direction, and I can see many other states in America start to go this way as well. It sounds like a long way away, 15 years away, but what it's really doing is it's saying this is the direction we're going. For people that aren't sure, if people think, oh, this electric vehicle thing's a bit of a fad, a few people will get them and that's it. This is really sending a strong message to the market for consumers, but also to the market for manufacturers. So if manufacturers are thinking, should we invest in some sort of other infrastructure besides petrol or diesel? Well, the legislators are saying absolutely. So they've got confidence now to go forward. They're talking in Massachusetts about the entire state being carbon neutral by 2050. Some would argue that's not early enough, but at least again it's sending that right message that we've got to make some steps in that direction. So yeah, I think it's quite good. They've got some flexibility around the heavy vehicle sector, so buses, large trucks and other equipment. So that's talking about how that might be done, because that's a bit of a trickier one. But again, at least there's a discussion happening, and that's the important thing, Tony. You can't solve a problem until you actually admit there is a problem and need to have a discussion around that problem. So at least they're taking the first step and saying, there's a problem here, let's start to legislate around that problem, and 2035, no more gas-powered vehicles will be sold in Massachusetts.
And yeah, Matthew, look, what's really interesting, we've got 25 new electric vehicles arriving on the market this year. That's quite a bit.
It's quite incredible, Tony. And we've talked about some various models, and I won't go through all the models in great detail, but certainly we've got a few models from Audi. Audi have got basically a bit of a, I suppose, direction there in terms of their electric vehicle space. They really want to take on Tesla head on. Audi are known for their performance vehicles, but at the moment their performance figures look embarrassing if you compare them to, say, a Tesla. So they really want to take on Tesla. You've got a few different models from BMW. Citroën have got a model. The Cupra has got a model. Now, the Cupra, I hadn't actually heard of this model, but basically it's part of the SEAT, S-E-A-T, the model of those. It's an electric vehicle basically focused on just electric vehicles from the SEAT brand. So it's a little mini brand, if you like, out of them. Fiat have got a new one. Ford's got their Mustang Mach-E. That's a pretty exciting vehicle. Jaguar's got a car. We don't have any Toyotas on the list, but we've got one Lexus coming out by the end of the year. And they've basically taken a bit of a shortcut there with the Lexus, where they've essentially not redesigned the whole car. It's a UX, which is a small SUV, which currently exists, and they've basically taken the petrol engine out and dropped an electric engine in. Now, obviously, there's a bit more work they have to do than just that, but essentially, at least they're taking a step in that direction. Lotus has got a $2 million sports car coming out with some incredible performance figures. Mercedes-Benz has got 3 models coming out. The Polestar, which is, again, another brand within a brand. So that's a Volvo brand. So they've got a little performance car coming out in there. So, again, nice to see that. Porsche have got some incredible models coming out there, again, focused on performance. The Rivian, we've talked about the Rivian last year. They have got basically off-road vehicles. You've got some huge batteries in those, 180 kilowatt-hour batteries, really good off-road performance from those. They've got backing from Ford, they've got backing from Amazon. So I think that'll be a really popular vehicle in America for people that love their pickup trucks over there in America, and good range on those with those big batteries as well. You've got Skoda. You've got a couple of new models from Tesla. They've got the Model S Plaid version, which is going to have 0 to 100 times under 2 seconds. They're showing already some performance figures about 1.9 seconds, 0 to 100. And that just blows me away. I mean, my car does 2.6 seconds, and that just about puts your kidneys through the back of the seat, so I can't imagine what 1.9 seconds is like. They've also
that's amazing.
Their Model Y and their Roadster. Volkswagen have got the ID4, Volvo have got an XC40 Recharge, and Lucid Air, which is again trying to take on Tesla's Model S. So a lot of cars there. There's 25 different models that are coming out this year alone, adding already to the existing range of vehicles that are available in the electric vehicle space. Yeah. So when we talk about electric vehicles, maybe 2021 being the year it all kicks off, then there's 25 good models that are out there ready to try and take that market. Yeah,
what's really interesting is the Tesla Model Y, which is an SUV, being manufactured in Shanghai, China. They've just dropped the price on that. I think it's about 30%. It's down to $52,000, the equivalent value in China. I'm not sure if that's US dollars or whether it's Australian dollars, but either way, that is a fairly big reduction in price for a Tesla SUV.
Yeah, and the Model Y, I mean, Elon Musk says the Model Y will be Tesla's most popular model, and I can see the logic in that. It's got the same platform as the Model 3. The Model 3's proven to be very popular already, and people love their SUVs, they love their compact SUV type vehicles. So that body shape of the SUV combined with that smaller platform of the Model 3, I think that'll be a very popular model. Not in Australia yet. It's already available in America, but it'll be in Australian shores or on Australian shores this year. And again, I think that Model Y will be incredibly popular.
I'm sure it will be. And you'll be listening to Matthew Diggerson and Tech Talk on Binjang 91.5. And it's all back to the great music and information now. Right now, that is.
We'll talk again next week, Tony.